Well, hello. Welcome to the very first video on my YouTube channel. In case you don't know me, my name's Jesse Hughes. I'm a 19-year-old college student. I go to Liberty University. And something that gets discussed a lot on Liberty's campus is politics. It's something that a lot of people talk about, actually. At Liberty, there's a very, very interesting discussion going on right now about the church and its role in politics. Now, you may be asking yourself, who is this kid? Why should I listen to him? What does he have to offer? That's a great question. Anyway, church and politics is a very, very hostile conversation. You have two groups, mainly within the mainline evangelical denominations. And within that, there's a lot of very, very interesting disagreement. That is brought up a lot within the context of Liberty's campus and its students' demographics and its student subculture. A lot of people within Christianity feel as if the church should talk about politics, should be engaged in politics, should have an active voice in politics, whereas a lot of non-Christians don't think that the church should be involved in politics, but a lot of Christians also don't think that the church should be involved in politics, and instead, we should focus mainly on the gospel. Now, being a Christian, to be quite honest with you, I don't care what the non-Christians have to say about this issue. That's not a dig at them at all. To deposit my view lightly, the idea that people sometimes spread that Christians shouldn't force their morality on non-Christians or people that aren't of their faith through legislating their morality are guilty of the exact same thing. Everybody has a moral code, everybody has a moral set of ethics, and to sit there and say that we shouldn't be legislating our morality because you're not a Christian is kind of dumb. The First Amendment very clearly says that we all have a right to freedom of speech, and the Constitution very clearly lays out that it doesn't matter if you're Christian or not, that you have a right to run for office, attain political office, do the political things that you do. And to say that your worldview should not inform the laws that you are writing is very dumb. Look at someone who is not a Christian, someone like Ilhan Omar. Are you going to tell her that her Islamic worldview shouldn't influence the laws that she's legislating? Are you going to tell somebody that's an atheist that they shouldn't be using their secular worldview to legislate? Of course not. But Christians get this special treatment, you could say, where we get targeted just because we're followers of Christ. And I am not going to get into that discussion right now. I'm going to try and keep this within the frame. What the heck? I'm going to try and keep this within the frame of discussion for this topic. And so you have Christians on both sides saying we should. Why are my LEDs are acting up, y'all? You should be involved in politics, or we shouldn't be involved in politics. We can use politics to elevate and help spread the gospel. We can just focus on the gospel and not even touch politics at all. Which is the correct solution? Well, I'll tell you what I believe. I think that the church has an obligation to be involved in culture, to be involved in these things. I think that it's our job as Christians to be good citizens of the place that we've been placed. When you look at scripture, it's very obvious that we're supposed to be good citizens of the nations which were put. For example, you look throughout the Bible, you have several examples of Daniel, for example. Daniel in Babylon, who was placed to be in a very influential government position within Babylon. You look at someone like Esther, who becomes queen and uses that power to save her people. You look at the history of Israel, they have kings. They have kings that are placed by God and used for political power. Now, you can reference the argument that God originally did not intend there to be kings, but once there were, God used those kings, at least most of the time when they listened to him, to exercise power and authority to help bring the nation closer to him. So to say that we're not supposed to use our Christian influence to bring our nation that's the word, to bring our nation closer to God, then you're, in my opinion, very mistaken. And you can say that all of those are Old Testament examples. Well, here's a verse right here, 1 Peter 2:13. Be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether it be the emperor as supreme or to the governors as sent by him to punish those who do evil and praise those who do good. For this is the will of God. And that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. Live as people who are free, but not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. Honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the emperor. So basically, be a good citizen. In my opinion, being a good citizen of the United States is by being actively involved in the United States, actively involving yourself in the political process, whether that's as simple as voting and using your voice, or if it's running for office, running for political office. One of the phrases I've heard many people say is that Christians have a higher calling than politics. And that's sort of right, but it's also sort of not. I mean, obviously, the gospel is our primary focus. The gospel is our inspiration. It's the thing that we should be pursuing first and foremost. We should pursue God first and foremost, spread His gospel. That's our primary mission. But that doesn't mean that we can't have callings that include politics. You can be a missionary, obviously, and go and spread the gospel. You can be a doctor and go and spread the gospel. You can be a lawyer and go and spread the gospel. You can be a nurse and go and spread the gospel. You can be a businessman and go and spread the gospel. You can be a politician and spread the gospel. Believe it or not, you can be in politics and spread the gospel. Granted, being in politics and spreading the gospel might be a tad more difficult than a lot of other occupations, but it's still possible. You can still do it. To sum up this rant, I don't know what else to call this. Being a Christian does not mean that you have to forsake any political ideology or any political strivings or anything political that's in your life. Now, obviously, don't make politics an idol. Don't make politics something that it's not supposed to be. And don't succumb to the divisive nature of politics. Now, I do want to be clear, there is a very clear difference between being actively engaged in a debate about a political issue, but still being loving, versus attacking other people for what they believe. I love debates. I love debating ideas. But we have developed in culture this very interesting connection between ideas and identity. Whereas a lot of people nowadays, if you attack their ideas, they feel as if you're attacking their identity. That's no. I had this conversation the other day with somebody. If I'm actively engaging in an idea or an opinion or a position that you hold, that does not mean that I'm disrespecting you as a person, that I'm disrespecting your right to have an opinion. It means that I am actively engaging in civil discourse and debate. Having civil discourse and debate in society is an extremely healthy thing. To tie a bow on all of this, I want to leave you with a quote from G.K. Chesterton. I never discuss anything except politics and religion. There is nothing else to discuss. If you're a Christian, it is my opinion that I believe is backed by scripture that you should be actively engaging in the political discourse and community within your nation. Whether you live in the United States or not, if you live in Great Britain, if you live in like Zimbabwe or something, and you're watching this video, get involved, get active. But if you are in America, like I am, it is my opinion that we should be actively involved in our government, in voting, in discussions about hot topics like abortion and same-sex marriage, and things that maybe culturally aren't popular, but are things that we hold dear to ourselves. The cool thing about being a pro-life Christian in this day and age is the amount of science that backs up your opinion. But again, another topic for another day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope that you consider subscribing to my channel, sharing this video with your friends. And if you could leave a comment down below and tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe where your opinion might differ, and maybe some topics that you want to hear about in the future, I would love to read them. I'm probably going to have a consistent schedule of uploading a video here every other week. Now, if you're on an off week and you want to hear my voice, my beautiful voice, but not see my face, then this is my chance to plug my podcast, the Living the Dream Podcast with Jesse Hughes. I hope you go and check that out. It's really cool. I hope you've enjoyed this video. So give me a thumbs up, subscribe, check out the podcast, and yeah, hope you have a great day.